What if I had somebody that could just sit in the meeting with you, write down all the notes, and then will then enter them into the CRM? I don't talk about the automation. What if I put somebody there to do that? That would be a dream. Now, what if I had a way to have it 100% accurate, removing any of the human error that could come in play or perspective and be true to that? And they're like, that would be even better. Well, that's where the automation comes into play, right? You've got this down and it doesn't call in sick. It will do what you need it to do. And so we figure out what is their biggest pain first. Can we show them that we can automate it? And what does it feel like to have that taken off their plate? When you talk about the delegation of delegating things to another person, automation is delegating a task to a technology.
Welcome back to another episode of Master Delegator. Today, we have a fascinating conversation lined up with a true automation expert, Shaun Whynacht. Shaun, the founder of Bluecow Marketing, has been dedicated to streamlining business tasks for over 12 years, helping entrepreneurs save time and focus on what truly matters through effective automation. In this episode, Shaun and I dive into a variety of topics crucial for business owners. We discuss how to categorize tasks into revenue generating and non-revenue generating, emphasizing the importance of automating or delegating non-revenue tasks like bookkeeping and taxes. Shaun also shares practical examples from his client work, highlighting automation techniques that transformed long, tedious processes into efficient workflows that take mere hours. Shaun also opens up about his entrepreneurial journey, reflecting on his roots in an entrepreneurial home, his struggles with self-doubt, and the constant need for adaptation. We explore the importance of personalization in client relations and the balance between leveraging automation tools and maintaining a human touch. So, whether you're a seasoned business owner or just starting out, you'll find valuable insights on how to streamline your operations, combat self-doubt, and maximize your productivity with the right support and tools. So grab your headphones and join us for an amazing conversation with Shaun Whynacht here on Master Delegator. Hey everyone, I have Shaun Whynacht from Bluecow Marketing. Welcome, Shaun.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited to get to know you more on a personal and professional level. Let's start with your introduction. Tell me about you, Shaun.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of a company called Bluecow Marketing. Yeah, I'm a solopreneur, so my business focuses on helping business owners get back time in their life that is kind of being eaten up by tasks that could be automated. So, 12 years ago, I jumped on the automation train by seeing automation being used in my business and seeing what it can do, and have been dedicated to that ever since. But, I have been an entrepreneur for 20 years, and that journey alone has had many life lessons and transformations, which I'm sure we'll get into through the episode.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that introduction. I feel like you and I, we both share the same mission. You want to make life of business owners easier by automating. As for me, I want to make their lives easier, by delegating. And there are actually three things, and I'm sure you know this, and this is probably something that you can talk more about, in a business, because you're also consulting with other businesses, right? You
Absolutely.
provide them with ideas on how to properly manage and grow their business. And so what I normally tell some business owners, if they come to me and, asking for help, I say it's either you delegate, you automate, or you eliminate. So delegation and automation, they're like partners together. So that's why I'm so excited about this episode with you, because we're going to talk about a lot of things. So you mentioned that you've been self-employed for 20 years.
Mhm.
That's not easy. I've only been a business owner this is my 5th year at Smart VAs at my
Right.
company.
Yeah.
In a span of 5 years, I've dealt with so many things, and I could not imagine, with you being a self-employed for 20 years. So what made you decide to become a self-employed person?
Actually love telling this story because I grew up in an entrepreneurial home without ever knowing it was an entrepreneurial home, which sounds a little
Mm,
weird, but um, I live with my mom and my grandparents, and my grandfather had a TV repair shop in his house. And, from as early on as I remember, that was just part of life. And then when he passed away, my mom turned it into a craft store and she was selling crafts and things out of that house. And it wasn't until grade 11 in high school that I was walking down the hall and there was a poster for an entrepreneurial youth conference. And I'd never seen the word entrepreneur before. And I asked the guidance counselor, like, what is this? And she said, well, an entrepreneur is somebody who runs their own business. And I immediately was familiar with this term, and I wanted to go to that conference. So I went to it, and I was with, I think it was like 500 other youth, various ages, that were learning about what it means to run your own business. And from that, I got the spark. So here I was, in grade 11, I think about 17 years old, and wanted to start my own business. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I liked music at the time and I wanted to become a
mm.
DJ. So I
Oh.
borrowed $2,000 from the bank of grandmother, and with the agreement that every dance that I did, I would give her back $50. So great payment terms, no interest. And I did that. And then I went to school to study radio. That was my dream. I wanted to become a radio personality. And then I transitioned into
Mm,
video production and television. And I got a technical television degree, and then started a video production company. Now, all the way up until I was 25, I was doing very similar to what people do is they have a job and they have a business, right? And they run
mm,
parallel, and it's sometimes they clash and sometimes they don't. But I was living in Western Canada at the time, and I had a job doing newspaper sales, which
mm,
I hated, absolutely hated, going in and trying to sell a newspaper ad to somebody who did not want me to be walking in and trying to sell something to them. Um, and I would find myself just avoiding it. I was like, something's got to change. And just very much in a serendipitous moment, I got an opportunity to become a concert and event photographer. I had learned photography just hands-on with a video production company I was working with, and that allowed me to get rid of and make that leap from working a job and running a business and solely running my own business. Extremely scary to
mm,
do. And was this going to work? Was it not? And it did. And over those years, I think one of the successful things to take from all this is business is going to change. Your business is going to change. The industry is going to change, and you're going to need to adapt and learn new things. So here I was, starting a video production company, then teaching myself photography, then learning how to build websites, and
mm,
then moving back to the East and then learning marketing automation. So, there's evolution over the years, and I've been, an entrepreneur, self-employed for over 20 years, and, for hopefully 20 plus more coming down the road. But it's been a journey, a fun one, ups and downs, challenges and struggles. But I mean, what we're going to get into is automation, delegation, and elimination is amazing. I mean,
mm.
that's the success of everything that comes down to it.
Wow, I love that story. Similar with you, I didn't know that our family had that entrepreneurial DNA
Hmm.
because growing up, I saw my mom build her own salon businesses and I was helping her out. And I didn't even consider that she was a businesswoman or an entrepreneur because, I grew up in the Philippines. And to me, that was just a way of life. You have to make a
Hmm.
living, right? And now that I have my own business and calling myself, especially at the beginning, an entrepreneur, it was very new to me, because the word entrepreneur, it kind of sounds so fancy, right? When you start labeling yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you're making yourself official, like you're a businesswoman, a businessman, right? And to me, I was like, can I just make a living without labeling myself, like an entrepreneur or anything similar to that? Because, growing up in a third world country, we make do of what we have, But then as I grew older, I realized that, wow, everything that I know right now came from my mom when she was asking me to help her with her salon business. But yeah, I love that you are sort of like a jack of all trades, right? Like you kind of know how to do sort of everything, right? And from video production, from selling newspaper, and from being a DJ as well, you know. And to be honest, when you were telling me about your story, I was like, I believe you did that because you just have that aura that, you know, you can be a DJ, you can be like a radio DJ or maybe a
Mhm.
DJ at a club or something, or having a video production and becoming a digital marketing strategist. You have that just aura in you. I don't know why, maybe it's the hoodie or the eyeglasses, but yeah, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, I feel like you would know what I'm talking about.
The
So
microphone helps too, I
the
think.
microphone and the lighting and the
Yeah.
video quality, right? So within 20 years, what was that constant struggle that you've dealt with as an entrepreneur?
Wow. Um, Self-doubt. I
Mm,
mean, let's just get real
yeah,
with it.
yeah.
I mean, you always and this becomes more evident as social media has rolled into it, and as an entrepreneur, especially if you're a small business owner or even a solo business owner where you spend a lot of time working by yourself. You start to look at what others are doing and what you see what they're doing. And you start to judge where you're at compared to the limited amount of success that you see being boasted online, right?
Mm,
So it's the self-doubt of, am I doing the right thing? Am I as good as the others that are out there? Do you balance the time? Now, when you're younger and you don't have a family, it's easy to just grind it out and put a ton of time. I have a 9-year-old son now, and I wanted to spend more time with him, and that's the reason why I work from home. And that's also the reason why I'm very dedicated to the automation side of helping people automate things so they get more time back. You know, to be able to drive your child to school in the morning, to be able to be at
right.
every event they have, and never have to be that person that's like, I got to work late, I can't be there, and missing those special moments, is key. So that's been kind of, if we looked at everything, it's been over the years that self-doubt. And usually when I'm doubting what I'm doing, it's time to change a little bit.
Mm,
And that's been a natural progression of me as a person. Is I like change. I love it. I embrace it. So much so that, I'm in my office and I'll rearrange the office every couple of months, and it seems like a new office, but the
mm.
desk has changed. I like that feeling of change and evolution, that's there.
Yeah. So whenever you feel self-doubt, aside from changing your workstation, like what do
Mhm.
you do? Like what practical action step do you take? Because I'm pretty sure 100% of entrepreneurs are feeling that, I have self-doubt.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship, leadership is truly a test of character,
Mhm.
right? And it can make you question yourself, who you are as a person, especially if you're dealing with people. And a lot of times we're dealing with people, we're dealing with clients, we're dealing with team members. So what do you do to make sure that you get that confidence back again?
Well, there's two things that I do. If you've been in business for a while and you've had some great wins, you got some great testimonials, you got things like that. Um, Going back and looking through those, reading those positive reviews, and you're like, wow, like I did something to impact somebody positively. They're praising you. That's really great, right? So you have that. The other thing is, if you're familiar with the concept of like a pep rally, and a lot of sports teams do this to kind of hype up everything, you need that pep rally person in your circle,
Mm,
that person that you can call up and be like, hey, do you got 10 minutes, let's just talk, this is how I'm feeling. And their sole job is to listen and reassure you that you are capable of what it is that you're doing, the journey you're on, right? They know your worth, they know your value, know what you're good at. And just hearing somebody say that back to you, will give you that boost to come, back at it and come out of that. the time when I'm looking at changes, it's like either I'll use web design as an example. I did that for 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to a point where I was hating it. I was like, you know, I don't feel that people are seeing what I want to do in the web design side. They just want a technician, right? Just
Mm.
install a template, put in my content, and do that. And I wasn't feeling any value and self-worth from that. So it was time to change, and that's where the automation side and I started to look for other things. And when I found that, and I could see the power behind it, I was like, the sky's the limit now. Right? It can automate so
Mm.
many things. I mean, I can automate somebody's coffee orders in a team of 15 in an office. I can have it so they can send brownies to a client when they finish a project, right? Like I tell clients, dream big. Like tell me what would make your life perfect in from your business sense. Forget your limited beliefs of what technology can do. Tell me if you could pull out a magic machine and out of it came the ideal process, what would that be? And from there, I take that and I start to figure out what technology we can integrate to get them as close to that as possible.
Right.
And that fulfilled my innate curiosity to
Mm.
reverse engineer things. I'm the kid that would tear the radio apart and rebuild it. Right. Like that's my natural thing is I want to know how something works.
Right.
Because if I don't know how it works, I can't appreciate what it can do.
I love that. And I love that you advise your clients to dream big,
Hmm.
because I believe that if your dreams or if your dream is not big enough, it's not a dream. That's
Hmm.
not your ultimate dream yet. So, based on what you said, when it comes to self-doubt, the way how you battle that is first, you think about your wins, your achievements in life, and then you have somebody who can do what did you call that? Pep rally with
Like
you.
you could use cheerleader, pep rally, like
Your pep
yeah.
rally. Who is that person in your life?
Mhm.
Is that your wife, your best friend, your coach?
No, I mean, right now it's another colleague that is an actual coach, and we do work together. And she's like, we're always on a mastermind together, and we have one-on-one calls, and we do the same type of thing. Like she has some doubt in certain things, and it goes really well that way. So
Yeah.
um, we basically just kind of fell into that role without knowing it. And we're like, well, more people need this.
Yeah,
And as we started to
exactly.
build out a mastermind group, I mean, there's 7 of us in this. They become this pep rally type thing, and it's the giving yourself permission to be in a space where you can be raw and honest and vulnerable, and having people that accept that, hear that, and are there to support you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I love that. And based on what you said also earlier, because you're so passionate about helping out your clients when it comes to making their lives easier, right?
Hmm.
I also heard purpose there. So, so first, in order to overcome self-doubt, there are so many ways out there, but what you shared,
Hmm.
those three, they're very important, and I believe in them, especially with having purpose in your life, because if you don't have purpose in your life, you don't know where you're gonna go. You don't have direction. So let's talk automation. So you
Hmm.
help people with sales and marketing automation. And sales is a big word already.
Hmm.
So as marketing, right? So that means you do a lot of things for your clients. So walk me through for sales and marketing on how you help your clients automate their sales and marketing processes.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing you need to really understand is what is business. And I've heard this described as business is nothing more than a series of tasks that you get paid to do, right? That is in
100%
in its
agree.
basic sense, that's what it is. So I love the fact of the automation and delegation is we need to understand what are these tasks. So, you know, whether it's sales, marketing, operations, whatever, even your personal life, like you need to audit and figure out what is everything that I do or need to do. So that's the first thing I get clients to figure out is, are we looking at a sales journey? Are we looking
Mm,
to attract new people with leads? Are we doing a webinar? Are we doing a podcast? Whatever that is. And what are all the things that need to get done? Now, of these things, we put them into three different buckets. They're either directly connected to revenue generating activities like meeting face to face with a client, building something out. It is directly one-to-one proportionate to, I'm going to get paid to do this. Second is it potentially revenue generating? So it could be creating content, right? Putting that stuff out, the marketing stuff, right? You may not know that you're going to record a podcast and you can allocate, you're going to make $10,000 off that piece of content, but it has the potential to do it. And then thirdly, it's not revenue generating. It's your taxes, your bookkeeping, your cleaning the office, whatever that is, right? So once we know that, then we say, okay, of all the ones that are non-revenue generating, let's see if we can 100% automate them or delegate them to someone else that you can hire cheaper than what your hourly rate or value is, right? So if we can do that, perfect, because now we can take that time that we're saving at a higher rate, which is our time, and put it towards more revenue generating. Now, the middle of the road, the potential, we're going to use automation to enhance it, make it faster, make it more efficient for you. So that, again, you can free up some time that's there. You're never going to automate 100% a podcast, right? You should still be there. Videos, you should still be there until we're
right.
completely AI generated. And then the revenue ones, we're never going to automate it. We're always going to enhance it with automated processes. So
Mm,
best example of that is we offer a marketing assessments, $97. We're not getting rich off it. The reason was we just needed a transaction that's there. But we ask 38 questions on an intake form, right down to, what are the goals of the business? What's their sales process, everything that I would need to know to be able to start to audit and see what they're doing online and make recommendations. Well, we created a web form, which was great. And then that web form would come in by email and I have to read through it. And then I have to write out the recommendations and all this. Well, I started to put automation in place with AI where that will be submitted. I have a chat GPT integration with my CRM that actually takes all those answers and runs it through the criteria that I want and builds the
mhm,
initial first draft of the report and emails that to me so I can copy and paste that into a Google Doc. And I'm about 80 to 90% of the way there. So that took a lot of time off and
right.
allows me to get the recommendation back to the person in less than, 8 hours versus before it would take several days to go through and do all that stuff. So
Right.
that's how I've automated that. So getting back to the idea of working with clients with automation is once we figure out what it is that you do, then where do we put that automation in place?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I love that. Yeah, I
Right.
love that you know, you have like an intake assessment for all your clients,
Mhm.
but because when it comes to automation, right, you cannot just automate everything. There are some tasks that needs a human
Mhm.
intervention. And as far as I know, you mainly help advisors, coaches, and speakers, right? Those are
Yeah.
like your
So
top clients.
over the years, I've worked with a lot, small businesses, and I would focus on small businesses. But again, I wanted to really to hone in what I was doing, and in the last month and a half, um, I've been going on the Automate brand that I have on
Mm,
my shirt. If you're watching this, but the idea was, who do I love to work with? Who gives advice that changes lives? Advisors, whether they're financial advisors, coaches, speakers, trainers. I resonate with those people because I love creating content. They create
mhm,
content, right? The small business owner that is, has a store down the road that sells crafts and stuff like that. They don't necessarily make the content. Great business could be a great person, but I want to play in the playground with the people that love the same things that I do. And that's where that audience was.
I love that.
Are you sick and tired of being overwhelmed and afraid you'll never scale your business? Meet Smart VAs. Unlike many virtual assistant agencies that only assign one dedicated virtual assistant, we provide flexibility for growing businesses. by assigning a team of experienced virtual assistants that can do different tasks to support your continuous growth. Visit smartvas.online to book a free discovery call and start growing your business.
And so based on your experience so far from working with these different types of, people, what are the top three tasks that you saw that need automation?
Absolutely. So with anyone in those areas, the speakers, coaches, trainers, and advisors, they're all consult driven, right? So they're meeting
Mm-hmm.
with people. So for a lot of them, it's when somebody raises their hand and says, yes, I want to meet with you. I'm going to go online. I'm going to book a meeting. Some people don't even have that option, right? They still do it by email back and forth. But when they book that, there's a huge opportunity right there from the moment they've booked it to when that appointment is to start to build that relationship, right? So, emails, text, videos, that type of stuff to get them prepared for it. So whether that's, giving them that basic information that you would spend the first 15 minutes just saying to everybody, right? So let's get that out of the way so that when you're meeting with them, you're solely focused on helping them. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that, getting them to show up. So that's one. That's probably the most common one that I start with is how do people start to meet with you, and then what happens after they commit to that to when they show up. The next one is after that meeting. So commonly it's we meet, we send a proposal, and then we sit back and we wait and we hope that
Mm-hmm.
they book us or hire us. And for a lot of people, they move on to something else. They move to the next prospect. So it's automating that sales journey because when somebody goes through the different phases of becoming problem or solution aware to actually committing to talk to you, right? They're in different mindsets. So, what are they thinking at that moment? So you met with them, they had a great experience, right? They're leaving on a high. Now we need to tell them what's happening next because they're wondering like when am I going to hear from you again? Right? So the proposal comes out, they're reading through it. Now they're thinking, well, this all looks good. I wonder what other people have had an experience working with them. So now you're talking about the social proof, the testimonials, the videos, and it's trying to think one step ahead of where that prospect is. And so that's where we start to ask those questions and build out that automation. And then lastly is the what I would say the highest value part is when you deliver an amazing service to somebody, you want to make them a fan of yours, make them a cheerleader, want them to go out there, make it easy for them to tell. So you get those reviews, those case studies, those testimonials, you stay in touch with them. If you're a business that's only a one-time type of thing, like they're over going to use you once, it's still equally important to stay in touch with them because they know other people that could use your service
Mm.
that's in there. So we automate that follow-up in the end that's there.
I love that. And automation is a good thing, right? And that's why you're helping people do that. Have you seen any reason to not automate something? Or give me a
Yep.
task that shouldn't be automated.
Um, I don't think there's an exact task that shouldn't be automated. I think when somebody says, hey, I want to automate this, and I say, why? And they come back with, because I just want to automate it, then there's no reason to automate it.
There's no
Because if
purpose.
you can't articulate what's the reason, it needs to be something like, I keep doing this thing over and over again, or I absolutely don't like doing that task. It's not my strength, right? So in that case, yes, we can look at automating it. But a lot of times people will say, I want to automate all my client follow-up. I don't want to have to ever like touch doing it. I want everything to be sent out automatically. And I'm like, you're gonna you can't. There's no way yet to have an authentic outreach, right? So whether you can put them in a nurture sequence to just send out information and content, I will force people to think, I want to inject some tasks where you have to actually open up your email and send them a message or pick up the phone and call them or write them a text message. right? That type of stuff is part of that process. Is I want to put that human touch in there. Doesn't mean you're going to get 300 of these to do in a day, because they're going to come at different stages. People that do holiday cards and send it out, and they print the
Mm-hmm.
entire team signature on it. When I get those, if I can't feel that it's been touched by a human, it's lost to me, right?
Right.
So, while I may have 400 active clients, I will buy, 50 holiday cards, and I will just hand select 50 random clients that I want to send them to. And I want to write a nice message in every single one, because that's important to me, right? I don't have
Right.
the ability to do 300, right? But I can do 50. And I
Right.
would rather
Yeah.
send 50 heartfelt value pieces of touches out there than 300 cold ones that I know that person has never seen.
Right. I love that. It's always quality over quantity, right?
Mhm.
So you may have touched on this already, but automation for younger generations, they're more like open to it. But for traditional business owners, they're probably like, automation, what is that? That's just another thing I need to do. Chat GPT, no, I don't want to use that. Blasphemy, why are you using Chat GPT? But if I was part of that older generation, and I don't have any idea about automation, but I really want to grow my leads. I want to improve my sales and marketing process. What would you tell me? How would you, or how are you going to convince me to start automating my sales and marketing processes?
I think there are people that are always going to be completely opposed to it, right? They're the old school ones, and they just want to do everything manually, and you can never convert them. But they need to feel the pain. They need to feel that, they're getting burnt out.
That's
Things are falling through the
and that's
cracks, right?
hurtful, right?
Right. So, here's a great example of this. I have a financial client who, would do meetings with their clients, and then they would either have to be taking notes during it, or after the meeting, spend a half hour blocked off to write all the notes, put it in their CRM, so that it was there. Well, we're using AI tools, just like, we use Fathom is our note taker that we
Mm-hmm.
use. It does an amazing job at giving an AI summary of the notes. And then we automate when that is done using Zapier to push that note into the contact record in the CRM. So now that client does not have to worry about taking the notes. They can be 100% present there and know that's going to happen. So how I explain that is, what if I had somebody that could just sit in the meeting with you, write down all the notes, and then will then enter them into the CRM? I don't talk about the automation. What if I put somebody there to do that? That would be a dream. Okay. Now, what if I had a way to have it 100% accurate, removing any of the human error that could come in play, or perspective, and be true to that? And they're like, that would be even better. Well, that's where the automation comes into play, right? You've got this down, and it doesn't call in sick, right? It will do what you need it to do. And so we figure out what is their biggest pain first. Can we show them that we can automate it? And what does it feel like to have that taken off their plate?
Mm,
Right. So,
I love that.
when you talk about the delegation of delegating things to another person, automation is delegating a task to a technology.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I love that. Thank you for explaining that, because I know, there are people out there, and I think for most advisors, speakers and coaches, I feel like most of the people that I met who are in that industry, they're, older people, older than me, because as they have more experience in business, they think that, it's time for them to start another venture, and become a coach, because the more experience and knowledge you have and wisdom you have, you can pass that on to other people
Mhm.
already. So, how about yourself? Because you help business owners, have or live a freedom-filled lifestyle, right? Be
Mhm.
stress-free, not be overwhelmed with their tasks. how are you applying this to your personal business? Because, let's be honest, sometimes we help people so much we forget to help ourselves, kind of like, when you see carpenters, right? They
Mhm.
build houses for other people, but when you go to their own house, you see some,
Absolutely.
imperfections, but in your own business, how do you make sure that you have a freedom-filled lifestyle?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm naturally inquisitive, so I try a ton of different tools, mainly because I always want to be up on what's new and out there, but also I want to be able to make recommendations to other clients that come along the way. But the biggest technology that's come out that has revolutionized my ability to have the lifestyle that I want has been ChatGPT, right?
Mm,
I mean, there's other AI tools that are out there, but ChatGPT, I love it for the custom GPT side. So,
right,
I don't use it. I don't ever go in there and say, write me a piece of content on this topic because I don't like that it's just pulling from its learning stuff. I always
right,
need to seed it with something. So I'm an audio video guy. So if I want to do a podcast, I will then go ahead and transcribe it and put it in there and say, from what I've said in this, right, write me a blog article, write me a social post, do this kind of thing. Or I've had a client who naturally has a lot of great ideas, but will write them in one 700-word paragraph with zero to no punctuation. And there's probably 6 or 7 questions hidden in there and thoughts. And that's just who they are. And that's okay. That's how they will communicate. But using AI to take that and say, I just received the following email. Please go through it and identify all the questions this client has. Then tell them to me one at a time, waiting for my response between each. Once we've answered them all, then compose an email back to them that outlines their question, my answer. And I hit enter and it says, here's the first question. I write the reply, enter. Here's the second. So taking that, not only does it shorten the amount of time it has, but I provide a better service back to the client. So I think the biggest thing with that is when you are doing something and you're like, okay, I have to do this, then this, and this. When you say this and this, it's like, hmm, can I use AI to streamline that and make it more organized for me? So the Chat GPT, custom GPT side of it, I think is underutilized by many people, mainly because they don't know how to use it, but you should look into learning it. It's not hard. I did a workshop on it this week for a local chamber of commerce, and there was 5 people in the room, and they're like the lady was probably in her 70s, and we were building it, and she's like, "This is like programming in like regular language." And I said, "Yes,
right,
exactly. You just say, I want you to do this, then wait for me to do this, then I want you to do this, and it will know how to do it." Right.
right.
So she
I
was
love that.
yeah, she was in the employment space, and she gets resumes all the time. People are like, "Can you review this and give me recommendations?" I'm like, "Why not build a GPT to get you started, where you upload the resume and you said, I want to look for this, this, and this, and then look for it and give me that analysis of it." And it was these mind blown, like eye open aha moments that they had. So
Right,
really amazing to see when people can use that technology, and especially when they're in that older age range, and getting them to utilize it.
right, exactly. It's really mind-blowing to them, right?
Hmm.
So before Google is my best friend, it still is my best friend, but now ChatGPT is now my best friend, like everything I do, I ChatGPT it, but just like what you said, you have to feed ChatGPT with information coming from you, instead of just asking it to create something for you
Hmm.
that, that because if you just ask ChatGPT to create like an article about, let's say, automation,
Hmm.
it's not gonna have your personal touch, so you have to feed um, AI with what's in your brain
Hmm. And
instead
if I
of.
can share another use case that's recently
Mhm.
happened to me, and this is kind of play into that idea of somebody like not knowing if they should adopt technology. I had a local therapist that's a potential client who is just, he knows he wants to create content out there on different topics, put out blog posts and things, but he's busy and he doesn't have the time to write it all. And he's like, I want to use AI, but it's not me. So I'm like, okay, well, if you're driving a lot and you have time, could you record like voice memos? And he said, yeah, no problem. I can talk on a topic, no problem. So I'm like, how about this? We build a custom GPT that you will voice record, it'll be transcribed, and you put it in there and it can ask you, what audience is this for? Is it, people with career coaching issues or family issues or whatever? And we can build it so it just asks you this question. Like, do you want this to be professional? Do you want it to be casual? Do you want humor in this? Whatever it is. But what we'll do is we'll train the GPT with the last 30 articles that you wrote yourself and say, learn the writing style, learn how I use punctuation, learn the words that I use. So now it will actually write that for him. So when I got to that point, he's like, but how do I know the writing is the way I want it? I'm like, how about we ask it to give you a snippet of the
Mhm.
writing style and you can say yes or no and it will continue. And when he understood that, I'm like, it's just like having an intern or a
Mhm.
VA that is there, that is programmed to do exactly what you need it to do. And that's where like it just broke wide open for him. And he was like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
Right.
You just need to learn how to communicate with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you look at AI as treating it like an actual person, and I've had clients that actually name their ChatGPT accounts, right? They give it a name.
That's a
Like this
good
is
idea.
Rebecca. Like I use Rebecca, right? Or whatever. And they found that better to just humanize it.
Right.
But even asking it, hey, I want you to do this. What do you need to know from me to do the best job possible? And it will come back and say, if you could tell me these 4 or 5 answers to these questions, then I'll have enough to do it.
Those are such good ideas. I love it. I love it. All right. So, as we wrap up,
Mhm.
what do you want to say to people who are so stressed and overwhelmed right now when it comes to their sales and marketing process?
I think the first thing you need to do right now is just take a deep breath and realize that you're not alone. There people are overwhelmed. We're
Mhm.
in a society that is so many points of data hitting you and so much sensory stuff that's happening. You need to figure out first what is it that you need to focus on. So is it working with your current clients? If you could streamline that process, would it give you time to work on sales? If sales is an issue, if you're really good at sales and it's like, I can't find leads, well then, okay, what could we automate on the lead side of it? But figure out what's your first thing that if that pain was eliminated, you would feel better right now. What's that one thing, right? And
Mhm.
and I've done a podcast before about this, the one thing, right? What's that one thing? And then once you do that, then what's the next one thing, right? Do one thing at a time. Don't look at it as I need to put automation in my entire business because you will just freak yourself right out and you will never get anywhere with it.
Right. Yeah. One step at a time. I know you already mentioned Zapier, ChatGPT. What else did you mention? So
Fathom,
far,
which is my note
yeah,
taker. Yep.
Fathom, yeah. You mentioned those three tools. Are there any other tools that you would like to recommend to business owners to help them, you know, automate or systematize, their business?
Absolutely. There's one that I use. It's called the website's called Use Motion. And the idea is it's a project management system that connects to your calendar. So when you put in your tasks, whether it's a 30-minute, hour-long task, and when the due date is, it will auto schedule it into your Google Calendar, Outlook calendar, whatever it is. Um, so if you live and die from looking at your calendar, you can see, okay, today I've got these meetings, and in between there's tasks that are there. And if you don't mark them complete, it will actually advance them to another opening space. So they're following you until they're complete. And if they meet the hard deadline or surpass it, then you'll get notified that these are the ones you need to complete. But that was the biggest hurdle for me sometimes was task lists. and you get busy and then you don't keep going and checking them, but you're checking your calendar all the time. It's on your phone, it's on your computer, and just to see them there made my productivity just so much easier by using AI in that tool.
I love it. I love it. Wow, what a good conversation. I actually never look at the time and I was like, oh, we're going over our time limit already. There's still so much more, we want to, we can talk about, but we can do another episode on something else. You mentioned about, doing just that one thing, but, hopefully in the near future. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing your insights, your knowledge here on the podcast. Where can people find you online?
The easiest way is to just look up Bluecow Marketing. So that's our website, bluecowmarketing.ca. But if you Google it, all of our accounts will show up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Shaun.
Thank you very much.